Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right. We're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Ivy, did you remember to grab my bike helmet? Asked Levi as he wheeled his bike out of the garage. No, but it's fine. We're just riding over to Billy's house down the street, answered Ivy. You know it's not fine, replied Levi as he put the kickstand up on his bike and started to walk towards the garage. And more importantly, you know she doesn't think it's fine. As Levi walked toward the garage, he pointed at the front window where his mom was standing and pointing to her head. This was her way of reminding him that he needed his bike helmet before he went anywhere. Even if that anywhere was just 3 houses down the street. I've got it, called out Levi as he held up his bike helmet for his mom to see as he walked out of the garage and hopped on his bike. Sorry, Levi, I guess I forgot for a second how strict Mom and Dad are about things like that, said Ivy. You know, they only do it to keep us safe. I know, Ivy, but sometimes they just have to let us be kids. You know, carefree and adventurous, said Levi as he clipped his bike helmet securely under his chin. I'm fine to wear a helmet. It's not that. It's just that I feel like they don't trust us. I wonder what they were like when they were kids. Levi and Ivy waved to their mom, who was still watching them from the window as they pedaled off to see their friend Billy. I bet Mom had a lemonade stand when she was our age, except you have to use hand sanitizer before she would give you a drink, laughed Ivy as she rode along next to Levi. Good one, Ivy. And I bet Dad played soccer and baseball just like me, except he refused to ever slide because how would he ever get those grass stains out of his clothes after a game? Giggled Levi. I bet when they rode their bikes, they wore knee pads, elbow pads, and a helmet, said Ivy. Oh, no way. They would have just opted to stay inside and organize their toys in color-coded bins like they do in our playroom, replied Levi. It sure would be funny to see what Mom and Dad were really like as kids, said Ivy as they stopped in front of Billy's house. Funny for sure, but I'm not thinking it would be very much fun, said Levi, hopping off his bike and tossing his helmet on the front lawn of Billy's house. Let's go play and make sure you're being super safe and careful and avoid those grass stains. Oh, I will. And I'll be sure to triple wash my hands before we have any snacks and keep my voice down if we're having fun and laughing too much because we wouldn't want to disturb the whole neighborhood, giggled Ivy. Levi and Ivy ran off to play for the afternoon, getting into typical harmless kid mischief, but all the while hoping their mom wouldn't happen to be taking a walk through the neighborhood and see them. It's very important to know that Levi and Ivy loved their parents more than anything, but sometimes they felt that they were just a little too overprotective, always wanting to make sure they were safe, clean, and not too loud. But all parents are like that, always wanting the best for their kids. And that means watching over them and helping them avoid mistakes that could get them hurt, in trouble, or covered in grass stains. But what Levi and Ivy sometimes forget is that their parents weren't always parents. Their mom and dad were kids once just like them. And although it seems like a long time ago, you never forget what it's like being a kid. Having the whole world to explore, being silly and adventurous, innocent and curious, and feeling like anything was possible. The afternoon went on and Levi and Ivy had a great time playing with their friend Billy, but it was time to go home. They both made sure they had their bike helmets on before they headed off, and were lucky they did, because both their parents were outside doing some yard work when they turned into the driveway. Hey kiddos, we knew you'd be here any second because we could hear you from all the way down the street, said Levi and Ivy's dad. You two have to be just a little bit quieter. You know, not everyone in the neighborhood wants to hear your conversation about which animal would win a race. A cheetah with a jetpack or a greyhound with a turbo booster. Okay, Dad. Sorry, whispered Ivy to be funny. And it looks like you didn't get too messy playing today. That's good, added their dad as he spotted only a few dirt stains on Levi's shorts. I guess that will come out in the wash. I mean, at least it's not grass stains, laughed Levi, interrupting his dad. If you were a superhero, Dad, your biggest enemy would be Dr. Grass Stains. Ha ha, very funny, Levi, smiled Levi's dad as he went back to cleaning up the front yard flower beds. And you two made sure you washed your hands before having any snacks at Billy's house, right? Asked Levi and Ivy's mom as she cut some flowers to bring into the house. Levi and Ivy just looked at each other and smiled. Actually, they're having a problem with their plumbing today, so there was no running water in the house, started Levi, trying not to laugh. Yep, we just wiped our hands on some squirrels we were playing with before we had a snack, said Ivy, trying to hold back her giggles. They didn't seem to mind, and they didn't look too dirty, so I think we should be okay. Very funny, you two. You know your dad and I are just trying to protect you and watch out for you, said Levi and Ivy's mom. Is it so bad that we want you to be clean and safe? No, Mom, it's not that at all. You guys are the best, and we know you're always looking out for us, but sometimes it seems like you care more about that parent stuff than about us just having fun and being kids, said Levi. Levi and Ivy's mom and dad stopped what they were doing and turned to look at their kids. They both had a look on their face that said, I'm sorry you feel that way, and yes, we remember when we were your age, and our parents did the same thing. We understand how you feel, kids, started their dad. You know, we were your age once. That's right. We had fun, went on epic adventures, got our clothes dirty, and got into kid mischief. But now that we're parents, we see why our parents were always right there watching over us, added Levi and Ivy's mom. She's right, said Levi and Ivy's dad. And sometimes I wish they had been watching over me a little bit more, because it turns out juggling eggs on my parents' new rug, because my best friend and I were practicing to join the circus, was not the best idea I ever had. So once they found out, I spent the rest of the day scrubbing egg goop off the rug. Not fun. Levi and Ivy laughed at their dad's story, imagining him juggling eggs and watching them smash all on the new rug. We learned from our experiences growing up, and now we do the things we do to help you out, added Levi and Ivy's mom. But Mom, that's just it. If you're always watching over us, then we'll never have our own experiences, said Levi. And if we don't have our own experiences, how will we know what to stop our kids from doing? Giggled Ivy. Good point, said their dad with a smile. But for now, why don't you two go inside and play for a bit while we finish up out here? We'll have dinner in a couple of hours. So Levi and Ivy ran off to try and find something fun to do. That immediately led them to their playroom and their game closet. Having been outside for most of the afternoon, sitting down and playing a board game sounded like a great idea. But all the games that they took out were the ones they had played many times before. Then suddenly, when they thought there wasn't another game left in the closet, Levi turned around with a dust-covered game box in his hand. What's this? Asked Levi as he walked over to Ivy, who was sitting on the floor. I've never seen that game before, she replied. But the box reminds me of those funny pictures Mom showed us when she was a kid. You're right. All those neon colors and squiggly lines and shapes, said Levi. It looks, what was the word Dad told us he would say all the time when he was a kid? Rhythmic? No. Radiant? No, I remember now. It's radical, giggled Ivy. Totally radical. Levi giggled back as he put the board game box down on the floor and sat with Ivy. I bet it's one of Mom or Dad's old games that they snuck in here and forgot about. I think we should give it a try, said Ivy, opening the box and taking out the game board, which was covered in the same 90s style patterns and bright neon colors. Sure, let's play, replied Levi. Maybe it will teach us a little bit about what it was like to be a kid in the 90s. And boy, was Levi right. The game was called Totally Tubular Time Travelers. Just the name alone made Levi and Ivy laugh. They felt like it was a totally different language and couldn't imagine words like that ever being cool or in style. As they looked at the game board, they saw trails that led from one side to the other. Like lots of game boards they had played on before, but this game board was a little different. This game board had a center circle with the words, "Place your hands here," printed on it. The spot looked like a TV screen, and they thought maybe the electronics in the game were still working, so they gave it a try. There's no instruction, said Levi. I'm sure they got lost a million years ago when this game was cool, so let's just put our hands in the middle and maybe we'll figure it out from here. I think that's a good plan, added Ivy. I'll press this on button first to see if it even still works. Ivy then pressed the little button marked on, and the game board buzzed and whirled to life. This all of a sudden became a lot more interesting. Levi and Ivy smiled at each other as they put their hands in the center of the board, and that's when something unexpected happened. In the blink of an eye, the game board glowed with a bright neon light, and in an instant, Levi and Ivy were transported out of their playroom and into a world they had never seen before. Things looked similar, but not exactly as they did in their normal lives. That is until they heard two voices that sounded kind of familiar. Levi and Ivy were still holding hands when they opened their eyes after the bright neon light faded away. "Where are we?" asked Ivy, frantically looking around to see they were in a park that kind of looked like the one by their house, but not exactly. "I don't think Mom and Dad would like this." "Totally right," answered Levi. And that's when they heard someone shout something from behind a giant metal slide. It was the voice of a little boy. Levi turned to Ivy and motioned for them to go and check it out. Maybe that kid could help figure out where they were and why they were there. "Okay, watch this," said the little boy as Levi and Ivy got closer. "I bet you 2 Capri Suns that I can slide down this slide standing up." "No way. You'll fall before you make it halfway," said the little girl he was talking to. "But I do love Capri Sun juice boxes, so I say go for it and prove me right." Levi and Ivy could see it wasn't the best idea, so they shouted out that the little boy should stop before he got hurt. "Wow, they sound just like our parents," laughed the 2 kids as the little boy started down the slide, tumbling halfway down as he lost his balance. "You're okay," shouted the little girl. "Now, since I won, I want those juice boxes." "We'll have to grab them from my house," said the little boy. "Don't you worry, you'll get them. But for now, I'd like to figure out who those 2 kids are." That's when the little boy walked over to Levi and Ivy and said hello. "Hi there, I'm Eric, and this is my friend Alexa," said the little boy with a smile. Hey friends, this is the end of part 1. Stick around soon for part 2. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.